since this will be episode 171. Hell yeah, I feel like it was just yesterday. I was like in the 120s, and I was like, oh, we up there. And yeah, either way, man, I just keep this train moving, right? So yeah, man, let's see what we got going on. We're gonna continue the photo bashing, having a lot of fun with this series, and it's funny. I'm working on this character, and when I see pictures and when I'm working on it's like, oh man, the story it really it breaks my heart. And I'm like, oh man, I'm creating such dope characters, but to know where I'm ultimately going to end up with them, uh, I can't wait to get to those. I can't wait to get to those parts of the story. But yeah, very. What are we doing? Got the size right. Keep the original. Get the. Now let's adjust. I got a Trese, the Netflix cartoon series, animated series, playing in the background. I have it on low because these companies they can't wait to you know block your content, and it's like, man, I understand when people are like just straight up ripping off people's content and whatever. But someone like me who just needs some background noise because I'm not talking all the time, which I guess can be said by those companies of like, well, then just start talking all the time, or create your own music, or create your own content to play in the background. You don't have to play, like, I get that, but it's like, man, me having all the background noise isn't even the focus of what I do. You know what I mean? So it's just annoying. But every time I upload things onto YouTube, I always have to like mute, a few minutes at a time. Um, some stuff because it'll pick up the music in the background, or it'll pick up the TV show that I have in the background, and even though they can't see the video, is even if they just hear the audio, they're like, ah, you're stealing our TV show's audio. Like that's and it's like, oh man. So it is what it is, right? So but yeah, I mean, I get it when you have people who just straight up rip off and upload, and like the whole point of their content is to take other people's hard work and put it out there and claim it for themselves, or not give the due respect of like, hey, I made this stuff. Like, you gotta you gotta respect, you know. There we go. This might actually work. There we go. So yeah, I got Trese playing in the background, and I got some music playing in the background, just 'cause that's how I'm living. So hopefully it's not loud enough to trigger all this stuff. But yeah, I gotta admit, I haven't seen too much animation that really catches my attention. I didn't really remember what Trese was, and now that I'm like watching it, it's like, oh yeah, I remember watching the previews to this thing. And of course I'm gonna give it a shot, like, but I'll admit, all these animated shows are starting to look the same to me. They're all starting to look the same. They're animating the same. They sound the same. Um, they're made by different studios. So, I don't know. I don't know. Like, honestly, I was looking to play Kara's. I was looking for Kara's. I was like, Kara's has to be on Netflix by now, that old animation. And it's not. There we go. I just wanted to get the hat out. I just wish there was more. I don't even know how to put it anymore. You know, like everything in life evolves, right? Like everything in life should evolve, or it does evolve. There's always an evolution to anything and everything, living and not living. And growing up, and me wanting, me aspiring to be an animator, I was I was so looking forward to what animation could be. You know what I mean? Like, I always watched all the 2D cartoons, the classics and the new ones, like everything from like Scooby Doo to Animaniacs to Batman and Gargoyles to Hey Arnold and shit like that. Like, I watch old stuff, new stuff, Jetsons and Flintstones, like the Boomerang channel. I watched all that stuff growing up, and you know, um, Looney Tunes and all that stuff. Like, I watched old cartoons and new cartoons alike, and the older you got, the more you learned about how the there was new cartoons and there was old cartoons, and you're like, oh, okay, so Johnny Quest is from like the 80s. Oh, wow. You mean that old GI Joe cartoon that I missed out on because they stopped airing it the more I grew up? That was from like a long time ago. Like, but I want to watch it now. Well, you can't. And it's like, oh, like, you just learn that stuff is old. So then you start to see the difference in the old stuff and compared to the newer stuff. And then, stuff like Pixar comes out, and we get uh um Toy Story, and you get to compare that to like Little Mermaid and Tarzan and everything like that. And you immediately, well, at least I started to see like, oh, okay, there's a trajectory here. And maybe I didn't know the word trajectory back then, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you just start to notice things. And I always wanted to be an animator because I was always an illustrator, da 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 da. Like, I always wanted to put my stuff out there and then create my own animations, because basically my basic idea as a child was like, I like to draw. I wouldn't mind allowing my drawings to come to life and move. So that's why I wanted to get into animation, was just so that I could get my drawings to move, because I look at my drawings especially when I was a kid, and be like, oh, this would be cool if it was more than just a drawing, if it like had a life. And Toy Story plays with ideas like that of like, toys coming to life. And I'm a kid and I had toys and I had drawings, and it's about bringing inanimate things to life. Whatever. Basically what I'm getting to was there was definitely like a change happening from 2D to 3D in the technology, and I got bummed out when I noticed uh, that 3D was going to make 2D pretty much uh, not a thing anymore. It almost seemed like 2D was just going to completely go away. Thank God that's not the case. And, I'm thankful that 2D is still around. And, when we got during those transitional years, what did we have like as far as like really good 2D animation? Because 2D animation stopped going into the theaters. There was like, what, Brother Bear, and like 2D just took a back seat to 3D when it came to like big production. The only thing that really kept 2D going was anime and Japanese animation. And uh and even then, like some of that, like because of its popularity, like some could say that quality took a back seat in some cases, maybe even most cases. But at least it was going somewhere. You know what I mean? Like at least 2D was going somewhere. I was never into 3D. I'll watch some 3D stuff, and I see how 3D can really blend between reality and animation, and that's what I like. Like CG, and when they throw monsters in movies, at least when it's done right, things like that. Like that's super cool to me. But here we are, 20 years later, and I would have thought by now, like at least the child me, I'm sure would have been like, oh, like 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 animation is crazy now, right? And it's like, nah, it actually kind of seems to have stopped. I mean, even right now, I'm watching this Trese animation, and there's the main character's like trying to protect this little girl, and she's about to go up against all these little demons, and every single demon is just a carbon copy of the next one. And it was the reason why I couldn't watch Planet Hulk animation, was because like when you got to the ring and they were fighting in the gladiatorial battles, and then he had to fight all the Rockmen, and the Rockmen were just like carbon copies of each other with just the same animation on repeat, the same walk cycle, the same beats, like everything was just like, oh my god, I'm just watching the same, the like the animation is getting lazy, and I guess that's like a side effect of of something being more popular, them putting more out there, meaning there's more animation out there because it's so popular. So there's more jobs, more people working on it, but then you have like, so you have these giant teams that got put together, but I I don't know, man. the industry just did not go where I thought it would go, I guess is all that I'm saying. And it's just a little disappointing when I see what could have been, because there was probably more love and care put into the animation back when it was less of a business, I guess. And I don't want to be that guy, because I like business. I like, you know, the idea of making money and becoming successful and things like all that stuff is cool too. So it's not like I want to say, oh, because it became a business, it ruined it. Like, that's not what I want to say. But I guess because I just can't like think, and I'm not writing this down and really putting thought into it, I can't really express myself properly. But it just seems like the quality of animation takes a back seat. And I mean, everything from storytelling to, across the board, it seems to have become this process of like, you know, step A, step A, step B, step C, and then boom, you have a show, and then you release the show, and then it is whatever it is. And not every show is going to be great, but every show should aspire to be great. And I guess that's what my beef is that it just doesn't seem like everything is aspiring to be as good as it can be. For instance, not every show is Avatar: The Last Airbender. That show was stupendous. It was great. And I'm not saying every show has to be that, but if you look into that show and you see like everything that made it great, it starts to become clear. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you got to put a whole lot of love and care into what you're working on in order for it to be successful and things like that. And I'm not saying like this Trese that it doesn't have love and care put into it. I'm sure it does. But I don't know why it looks the same as everything else that I've seen, and I don't know. I'm just being a bitch right now, I guess. I'll just stop. It seems like, damn, what am I trying to say? Because I don't want to shit on things. So it's like for instance, my whole thing, again, my goal in animation was to just bring my drawings to life. That was all I wanted to do. And in my childlike brain, all that meant to me was if I could make my drawings move, then mission accomplished. But the fact of the matter is, it's not just about making your drawings move. In order for it to be a good animation, you want to bring your drawings to life, which is a completely different endeavor than to just make your drawings move. And I guess what I'm seeing in today's animations and today's movies, today's entertainment, as far as like 2D animation goes and things like that, it seems like everyone just creates a drawing. It's super cool. They have like a little story behind it, which is great because it's all about storytelling. But when it comes to executing the final product, it's like, okay, you took that drawing and you made it move, but you didn't bring it to life. Like, I don't feel like a lot of these shows that I watch are alive or living. I couldn't, since I'm watching Netflix and I'm talking about a Netflix show, kind of, What was that one show called? It was like Blood of Zeus or Blood of the Old Gods. Let me see. Uh, it was like Blood of something. I don't know. Oh shit. Oh, okay. It was the end of the first episode. I thought I accidentally clicked something. But there was a cartoon, Blood of something, Blood of Zeus. It was like some old Greek stuff. It was an animation. And oh shit, I forgot what I was talking about. I started focusing on drawing this. I couldn't. Okay, yeah, that show that I couldn't watch. I couldn't watch it because it didn't make sense to me. For instance, there was like it was like all old timey and Greek, but then there was like monsters, which I love because it's like yeah, give me monsters for sure, but don't give me monsters that don't make sense. And I'm sick and tired of watching these shows where things just where they have like a bad guy and it's like or a bad people or a bad civilization or just bad whatever, like these are the antagonists and they're just antagonists because stories need antagonists, and it's like but why are they antagonists? And it was like I'm watching this Greek show and everything seems all Greeky, and then it's like oh we have monsters too, and it's like okay, cool. And it's like, but these monsters, they, you know, they have like lava rock skin, and they glow, and they have powers, and it's like, oh, okay, so we're not in like the regular world, we're in some fantasy world. Well, how do these things have all this power, and why do they look like that? Not that they look bad, they look dope. But why do they look so dope in this regular Greeky world? You know what I mean? And it never goes into explaining that. And it's just like, okay, so they're just bad guys and they just look cool and there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm just supposed to I'm just supposed to like accept it and be like, yeah, they're the bad guys. But uh, yeah, like I stopped watching the show. I was just like, you know what? I can't. Oh shit! Is that what I did? Hold on. You know what? So yeah, the think that song's coming in a little loud. So yeah, I mean, that's what I be talking about. I know I'm nitpicking and I'm kind of bashing these shows and maybe the creators did have that, but it wasn't in the budget to do it. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, what do you mean it's not in the budget? If it's not in the budget, then don't tell that story. Tell a smaller story that you can tell and tell that you can tell properly. You know, if there actually was a reason why those monsters, had lava rock skin and glowed in the dark and had magical powers, and people were still wearing burlap sacks for clothes and didn't have that technology, like, don't you think monsters like that would have been ruling that planet? It's like that movie Bright. Everyone likes to pick on that movie Bright, and that's exactly the type of shit that I'd be talking about. But they talk about Bright and then they move on. But it's like that sort of stuff like goes all around. Like like people were like, oh, you have this like it was clearly uh what do they call that? It was clearly a commentary on society and race, and these people were white people and those people were black people and those were just others, like those were gays or something like that. And it was like, okay, like that's cool, I like the concept, but like how is it like how people were just like, how are these super orcs that are so much powerful than people, how did they get ruined? How did they get ruined over time? Like whatever the beefs were that people had over Bright is the type of beefs that I be having with a lot of things. And it was, and they went into like their backstory of like, oh yeah, there was a dark elf and he failed to take over everybody, and now the people are punished for trying to. And it was like, okay, so if we're gonna take the commentary of like these people are black people, and there was one from back in the day who tried to conquer the world, like where did that power go and why did they fail, and how has that affected them? Because it's like, okay, I see that you've created a history here where now these people are kind of subjected to living in squalor, punished for the crimes of the past, but it's like that ain't right. And there was like commentary about racism and all this other stuff in there, but it was like it didn't translate properly, because it's like, what's the history? How did things happen? How did these things come to be? You're telling a story, but you're telling a character story, but the story of the world is a lot more interesting, and you're not addressing it at all. And that's the type of stuff that I be having a problem with, where it's like, man, uh, those are the type of problems that I have with like everything that I watch these days, is like there's a lack of information of how things came to be. It's like, create this world, but you don't explain things. That's why I'm always talking about Avatar: The Last Bender, as like why it's so good. And it's like, yeah, it's so good because it's like, no, they covered all the ground across the board, and I bet it took them a hell of a lot of work in order to do that. You know what I mean? That first season of Avatar is really rough, but they found a little bit of success in it, and then they took that and they fucking expounded on it in season two. So that way, by season three, when it all culminated, holy shit, that's when the show became the masterpiece that it is. But it didn't take until like the third season before they got to it. And it seems like all these shows these days, they just want to be Avatar: The Last Airbender season 3 without without the struggles of season 1 and 2 to build up to earning that season 3 that Avatar got. It's like we just jump into the dope shit, and then we give them like 5 minutes of exposition, if that. And it's like, well, I need more exposition. Sorry. Like I'm still not sold in this world. And it's like, yeah, it looks cool, but it means nothing. I don't know, man. Such a bitch. I can't even explain myself properly. So it's like I watch all these shows, and even this Trese, like, even though I could tell from the trailer, I was like, oh no, this is gonna be one of those. Um, it was like kind of the same thing I was talking about when Castlevania was happening. How they had like the dope fight scenes, but it was like I don't know if that character had enough going for them to deserve it. Like the Carmella fight scene, the most badass shit I've seen in a long time. Like that was great. I loved it. That's what I want from Castlevania. And then how she went out and she was like, I am Carmella, da 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 da, and then she goes out and she dies and whatever. It's like that's super dope. I don't think she ever did anything before that to deserve that, to deserve to have that super dope ending. It was like, wait, why is she getting this super dope ending? Like she needed something like that before that happened in order for that to happen and it to be something great. Like all those characters, they all had their moments, but it was like, they all had their moments, but I don't think it was all deserved. Think about Zuko at the end of Avatar 3. Like it built up for 3 seasons. He had transitions. He started out as a bad guy. He struggled in the middle, um, and ultimately failed in the middle. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just all uphill. Like he had like his ups and downs and bumpy roads and things like that, all the way for the end to like finally like do that fire shit. And pun intended, right? And yeah, I don't know. Even like shows like Cowboy Bebop that I'm always talking about as well. Like there's some things that don't get brought up that can almost be problematic to the show for some people. Like Spike's past. Everyone I would love to see Spike's past. And learn about him and Vicious's past. And they kind of give us like little bits here and there, but it's never like fully explained. But at the end of the day, the show was so good that we don't need it, and we're all just going to sit there and contemplate what may have happened in the past, because that's how good it was. That's how good the show was. That you know they could. It's like we're just gonna give you this much, and you're gonna like it. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm grown up now, so maybe like that's another thing that I try to consider is like, I guess because it's animation and this is America that they try to say that animation is like a kid's thing. So I'm like, okay, is this good for kids? Not like is it healthy for their minds and growing up and things like that. I mean, is it like what are kids getting out of watching this if they're not watching this with the perspective of like having watched Avatar: The Last Airbender and Cowboy Bebop and all the great animations, where this is like their introduction. Like, is it good? Like, are they aspiring to be animators because they draw really well and they want to bring their stuff to life, and are they understanding what it means to bring their stuff to life, or are they just kind of like going to be content with like, oh no, I made my drawing move, like I'm successful, there's no story, there you know there's no story, there's no life into the animation, but there's animation, there's movement going on, so mission accomplished. If I watch a dialogue scene and people just stand there like sticks with their mouth moving, you know and maybe their brow is furled if they're angry, and maybe their brows are just straightforward if they're emotionless about everything. But it's like, I need more than lip flaps from my dialogue scenes. And you could sit there and say, well, it's dialogue, who cares, like we want to animate the action, right? And it's like, maybe, but look at a good dialogue scene in a movie. Look at a Quentin Tarantino movie. Look at the dialogue scene in the opening of Inglourious Bastards. And yeah, I'm shooting top shelf here, but this is my point. There are a lot of good dialogue scenes. You just got to study them. And yeah, maybe there's very little movement going on, but all that movement means so much. I watched Studio Binder, I believe it was, that did a breakdown of the Inglourious Bastards opening scene. They talked about everything from camera positioning to lighting to the character positioning, and even the minute acting cues that the actors brought to the scene, as far as like um, as far as like well, I mean, they just broke down the scene from top to bottom and why it's such a good scene. And there's like little social cues or little physical cues. So yeah, when I'm watching an animation, and it there's a dialogue heavy scene, guess what? I'm a snob. I want I want that scene to acknowledge itself. I want that scene to be like, yeah, I'm a boring ass dialogue scene, but guess what? The gangster shit is going down right now, and you're not prepared for it. You're not ready for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want. So, and that's the type of stuff I mean when I say like lip flapping just doesn't do it. Like, sorry, you're gonna have to give me more than lip flaps. Like, and a furrowed eyebrow. It's like who sits there and stands with their hands on the desk, not moving, and their shoulders all swelled up, not moving. You know what I mean? If someone's angry and they're passionate about their anger in the moment, they're gonna they're gonna. Oh, nice. I can't do anything about this. Oh well. I guess I'll have to do that later. But yeah, so that's what I mean when I said I thought that that's where animation would end up going. I thought the evolution of animation, like yeah, I'm watching cool stuff, like when they started bringing Scooby Doo back, or when Avatar came out, I thought Avatar was going to be the beginning of something new and not just a spotlight. Because even like Korra, the Korra Avatar stuff, I'm not impressed with. I hate to say it. Like it looks great, but that's all that it does. Is it only looks great. The girls kissing at the end, like I get it, progression, but I feel like it was undeserved. I don't think like if I don't think that that's how you cap that show. The Korra had too much going on with the guys in order for like the girl to just nab her at the end and for that to be the end of the story. You know what I mean? Now, unless they were going to continue it, maybe if that was the end of season one, so that way in season two, they could have the struggle of her sexual identity. So that way by season three, she would have finally settled on one of the three, whether it was the hot guy or the hot girl, or I forget the show by now, but maybe there was another interest, love interest that she would have had. But it's like, man, like that's what I mean. Like we got something dope. We got progression or progressiveness. Like cool, that's dope. But it didn't go anywhere. It didn't mean anything. And at the end of the day, outside of like just the topical flavoring of it, just it's like putting whipped cream on a turd. It's like you gonna eat that turd. It's got whipped cream on it. It's like nah, it's a turd. Sorry, I ain't gonna eat it. I don't care how much whipped cream you put on it. So and maybe that's a little harsh. Maybe calling it a turd is a little harsh. But insert something that you don't like or would not like to eat. And put whipped cream on it and be like, oh, you want that, right? It's like, nah, man. I want something actually edible and digestible if it's not too much to ask.
Good morning, girls. Did you enjoy your prize?
So yeah, but even everything like I couldn't tell you how many, just talking about Avatar, the Korra, I couldn't tell you how many videos I watched that were doing everything they could to try to explain why the world's progression in technology existed. And it's like, man, if you got to go out of your way to explain it that much, like then face it, you failed. It's not me being ignorant. I watched it wanting to like it. If I watched it with hate in mind, then yeah, maybe I'm just being ignoramus. But if I'm watching it with all the intention of loving it, like I'm there to love it. So when I walk away not loving it, I mean, I have to say, man, that's got to be on the show. That's got to be on the show of why that's happened. You know, and the whole thing that spurred on this whole talk that I'm having now, it's got to be on the animations. It's got to be on where 2D animation has led to in 2021, where since I've had my dream of animation and my theory crafting when I was a child and all that stuff, of like, me seeing greatness and betterness for it all, and then where it all actually ended up. God damn it, man. Why does it do that? There we go. There we go. Oh shit. All right. And yeah, I didn't even start this stream thinking I was gonna talk about this. Like, it wasn't even like on my mind to talk about it. I didn't feel pressed to talk about it. But when I started the stream, I wanted to watch Kara's. I used to own Kara's, and then one day I gave it to a friend for his birthday, and I thought maybe there was a Blu-ray version that existed or whatever, and it's like, oh no, I was wrong. Like, that shit ain't out there. Like, I gave away the DVD copy, but it was like I had like a two-in-one DVD copy because Kara's is split into two movies or something like that. And yeah, that was my fault. Like, I gave it away and I haven't watched it since. So it's a movie that like always comes to mind, and every few years I'll go out and see if I can go find it. And the only version I could find was a version that I had already owned, and a better version hasn't come along, or a more convenient version hasn't come along. Like, I even went on my Voodoo to see if I can just go and buy it. I just wanted to watch it. I tried to see if it was on Netflix, all this stuff, and nope. So I was sitting there like wanting to watch something, but because I couldn't find it, it was like, all right, Trese is on Netflix. It must have just released or something. So it's like, cool, I'll watch that. So I'm watching it, and as soon as I started watching, I was like, oh, this is that show. And I started seeing all the beats that I see and all the animations that I watch, where I'm like, ugh, not that great. Um, and I was just like, even though I'm still giving it a chance, I'm gonna let it play because I like to give story an opportunity. Maybe the animation's not great, but the story's gonna be really good, so I'll watch. But yeah, it seems to be everything. that I expected it to be. Um, for instance, what's another more modern animation that I think was really good and well done? Shira. I think Shira was well done. I love Regular Show and Adventure Time. I think those are excellent shows. Rick and Morty, obviously. Um, but even like on the action end, I really like Young Justice. I never watched season 3. I think I have it on HBO, so I should watch that. That's actually what I probably should be putting on right now is like Young Justice, rewatching seasons 1 and 2 just so I can catch up because I know in season 2 I kind of got confused at the end of it all when they had oh, you know what? Let me check something out. Oh, I forgot to upload that. Damn. Let's see if I can get a good shot of some gills. The one I had was already good, but I'm running into the same problem every time I use it. So yeah, I really like Young Justice, and why? I mean, think about it. There was a ton of characters. There was a ton of characters, and they still did all the storytelling. Like all the storytelling was still done really well. Oh shit. What's going on? What's going on? You're not letting me save you? Why not? Like, can I just drag and drop you in? You gonna let me do that? Can't be downloaded securely. I just want some gills. Give me some gills. Oh man, I hate those sort of eyes, man. They fucking creep me out. Sharks freak me out, man. If I have a fear of something, I definitely have a fear of sharks. I mean, just the idea that how helpless you are underwater and then how primitive they are, how ancient they are, and then they're like and how much of an apex they are. I guess they aren't really apex definitively because like whales and dolphins take them out. But yeah, that was sharks for freak me out. Yeah, I've been wanting to. Speaking of Young Justice and DC animations, like even things like the DC animated movies, people will say like those are a lot better than the movies that we get in theaters, which I guess I could see how people would say that. Like I could see where people are coming from when they say stuff like that. But also, those shows have their ups and downs, and those movies have their ups and downs as well. But I remember in the beginning, one of the first movies that they dropped, first animated movies that they dropped, which gave me all the hope in the world. I mean, was Batman Gotham Knight, which is like an anime version of Batman. And yeah, man, I was thinking like the merger of anime and Batman was just groundbreaking to me back then. And I was like, man, if they're doing this now, like sky's gonna be the limit once Batman starts breaking into the anime grounds. And then they never did anything again until Batman Ninja, which was still really good, but for there only to be those two movies, for there for there to only be those two movies.
Red eyes in the shadows, following my every move. I can't make this. I need mercy. I'm sorry to have to tell you this. Dr. Petra Feliaga was murdered last week.
I just wish the animation studios had more opportunities to work on things like that. I would love to see anime Superman, anime this, anime that, you know.
But it might be best if you go check what's out there right now. Among also, take major help. Okay? Please stay here with Miss Aurora.
Even some anime Marvel stuff. There we go.
Please take the outside perimeter before allowing attack. And also check it. This is all too much for my nerves.
go. Yeah. Right. There we go. But yeah, I thought like DC was going to go like full anime, and this was before there was like DC versus Mortal Kombat type stuff going on. So it was like okay, but it seems more like DC or Warner Brothers or whoever are just kind of like dipping their toes in the water, and it's like, man, just fucking cannonball that shit. You know what I'm saying? Just jump in. But yeah, I would love to see animation or Japanese animation studios take on more American stuff, American properties. Ah, so that's why.
Do not lay one finger on the Chunuk unless you are prepared to take the place of your familiar and face the consequences for its death.
It was only self-defense. She was being hunted down by a monster.
It was a Chunuk who was only acting on the instincts of its host.
Stop. My hair is a mess. Come hold this for me. It's done. Video proofs as you requested.
Your familiar left a defenseless baby to the elements, and then into a Chunuk. All with no leaders.
Oh, God. How to explain this to you? A child of the Weber would have killed her career.
Don't you dare try to spin this. We both know this now. She is the monster here, and you are the accomplice. I have no tolerance for lies. Do not cross my path again.
You should know you possess the ruling. And there are lives amongst our allies who conspire against you. It would be good to find out who they are. Before it is too late.
The princess on. And Holly is calling me.
I haven't had a battle like this in centuries. More!
Oh yeah, totally forgot to do that. Here, let's do this now.
Striking from the shadows like a cowboy.
Oh, sorry.
Nearly an entire block of the federal Rosewood slums was decimated when a vigilante group raided a drug lab in the area. The body count is said to be in the double digits, with severe trauma victims in or around the area. The local Glowczewski Falls turned into a temporary home to a large number of casualties. The investigations also linked the blast to excavator Santos and others, including the lab where the destruction happened. More next.
All must be some poor cops who really check out the names. Ah, what worse? Congratulations. There, Javier and Nicolas. They're not backwards. Probably some places fixed up. Well, I guess the kids are growing up. Enough! Drunk and disorderly. Yeah, gotta set it straight. For Christ's sake, Chris, you're acting like those cops are picking holes. Well, they get results, don't they? He fought back, is all I know. That's not how I see it. I told you I want none of that bullshit. I'm sorry, Anthony. You're so sweet. I'm trying to be less of one, even though you processed this guy already. What? Sweet chance? My father. He asked me from accounting. To pick you up. Zero. What else do we have for today? There's still time for it. It looks like it's over $50,000. It's always something. I swear. Calling a friend? No need. Just some fun. What's next?
What's going on? 24. That's what's going on.
Is it this bad when my father was away?
What's going on, Elsa?
The underworld's starting to step out of line. A mind fossil is learning about liars amongst their allies. Makes it clear that those codes will be broken.
There are consequences to breaking them. My father made that very clear.
With words, King, not action. They aren't afraid of the consequences because they haven't seen them.
So the gloves are coming off.
Respect them
What the hell? Come on, give me the eraser. Yeah.
Seek for the bodies of your loved ones at home.
Thanks for coming. Aye, keeping your jackets on, huh? Style. Welcome.
Bobby, I have your message. How many corpses are missing?
What of them? Claiming he had nothing to do with the killings at the Federal Local Slum, nor the missing bodies from Barangay Mascalo Hall.
This smells as bad as the sewers would come. Hey, that's actually cool.
Whatever took them maybe the entire body. Even the swamp scavengers leave something. This feels like a spell. May take a while to know for sure.
Take your time after that. I've got a ton of Federal equipment I need with me. Before we go south, try to keep up with the slum.
At ng baka, tulungan ang mga namamatay. Agumon!
Don't panic. I'm busy.
Ang pasok said some stuff might be going down, but he's literally gone to ground. Bossing's got a hunch that you might know something.
Here's a fucking signal. Let's talk.
I'm not playing. Start talking or you...
Okay, okay. The tribes are of age. Aswan were the most. Stocking up on muscle and magic. Making blood deals with other folk. You want my advice? Keep your heads down. Hopefully you can come up with some numbers. Will it be a big one tonight, eh? Bastos.
Good evening, Alicia. What business does a court of death have with us? There are souls of the dead that have not yet boarded the train as scheduled. Evil requests that you look into it. The missing souls are tethered to this plane. They have been compared. In what, my friend?
Shit! Internal investigators are saying you were seen at the slum during the massacre, and you shot his brother.
what's going on? How come? How come it's not letting me? Why is it frozen? Hello.
Active people are on the way out, Cap. We're good. Sure, we got everyone. It's just that truck in the cells. No sense in going back for him. Gotta go back to the
There we go. Come on.
Cap, I'm so sorry.
There's always something, Doctor.
We did for Team Trese. Team Trese, on three.
Say goodbye, Patty, for now. The center and this graveyard just provided someone with enough undead to make a small army. Dragonfly.
We have to boss in. I hate dragon gates.
I love them. You always stir up when you go through. It's hilarious. Go, Team Trese.
We are not following this up, Captain.
Easy. Butcher.
You can't stay sleepy, so will all the people who really hate Smith get back over?
I'm here to fix her up, son. Give me the keys.
Don't need your help, old man. I just need to make the machine. Let's see you on the way.
Gotcha, Cap.
What do you mean on your close here, Doctor? I can't believe it. This move. Lead us all if we don't get out of here.
Save it. None of you cops are saints. The one who can come out with the sure can't. You all got this covered.
There's still a chance to put the order behind us.
What's the matter? We're not people to be. We're just numbers. If you really gave a damn, you would put names to all our faces, so say it. What is my name?
Didn't think so.
This is taking too long. Stand back, please. Hello, companion. You okay?
Man, where are we at? It's gotta be like 90 minutes. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Starting to get good at timing these things, man.
Captain Guerrero,
Ah, is that what I've been missing this whole time? That makes sense. Okay. So yeah, my eraser and my brushes have been on different settings, which I've been expecting, but because I don't know nothing about brushes and all that stuff,
Piece of information.
and all the settings and stuff, I thought it was a given
Young Trese and I. Please send her my regards.
that
Hey, buddy. We're close. Sigitur Agastra!
I thought it was a given that the pressure sensitivity would have been there, but I guess there's like a specific eraser and a specific brush for those sort of things. So I just had my eraser on the wrong side because I was always like, why is my eraser erasing a little too heavy for my liking, you know?
Lay out your trial, then.
There we go. So yeah, maybe my eraser will start acting a little more accordingly with
Once again, you put all of us in jeopardy. So you can assume some sort of moral high ground. I was under the impression that the Accord was set up to protect peace. If we cut out hatred, we set ourselves down the path to ruin. The world is outnumbered already. The children of Paladin South can hardly be considered innocent. We have swung our luck in this council to soothe our conscience. Tell me if our purpose has changed. The tribes and I have gladly leave this beloved soil. The Accords are in place not only for our protection, but for peace and order. A better world for our children.
Interesting insight. Perhaps there is merit in our ideas. But to simply make love made which would kill hate.
True. It would do us good to put fire with fire and not war with war.
If we wipe out the end, we need to tie up all these loose ends before that happens. I will take the responsibility for that. The moment that those two forces blend with ours, I will put them down myself. Surely, this is acceptable to you all.
I have set my eyes on fire. Thus do I.
Then it is settled. May we all go home. Wasn't that all?
Still don't trust them.
Those who were raised to believe that violence and murder are games to be played, we can show them there is a better way to live by giving them what they need most right now.
What's that?
A real family. They will be guided by ideas.
I don't care. It just hurts.
Of course, sure. It is always painful when something is lost.
Something is going to someone found it and granted the means to change it. Rules that made it legal. It must be broken down and rebuilt. That's what I want to give you. Means to change your style. A second chance.
All right. So yeah, man, quarter to 2 hours, and I feel like we are done with this one.
I'm going to end this.
There, you see? There. You're all standing in the latest one. I'm glad you got me all this temporary equipment for this little paper, but would it have killed you to get me a faster data plan?
And I see the last one. That's one of the resources. The one that your unrest presented. They always come visible. What the hell are we doing?
Magic. Far stronger than that would be Mayor's legendary card.
So it's pretty bad then. Business.
Well, at least we know the bombers are coming for the prison. They keep getting past the military perimeter. Whatever defense they have set up, it isn't good enough.
General Villar, the one in charge. He's old school, violent. Marco just got assigned to stuff. I'll give him a follow.
Then you can go. I'm gonna take a friend's advice and call in some favors.
This is wrong. You ready? Are you ready?
What is that feeling?
Our image has us standing between the world of man and the supernatural, but only when we have proven ourselves worthy by facing the trials of the great hierarchy.
I don't feel ready.
You are the sixth child of the sixth child of a Balan Mandarina, healer and warrior.
You are gone.
I wish I could go with you. She will have to be.
She?
There we go.
Sina. She's your twin, Alexander.
I don't understand. You told me my twin died in childbirth.
Anyway, I did everything within the sacred system. Forging that blade meant that the heart of her would always stay and watch over our family.
Why are you telling me this now? But when the trials are hours away.
This is when you need your family the most. The trials may seem daunting, but with Sina, you won't be facing them alone. She will always be there beside you. Your family will always be there beside you.
All right. So yeah, before I go, let's just see where we started, so we can see relish in the work we created. So here's the beginning, and there's the end piece. Let's go through it layer for layer. So we start there. We have the original picture, then we just adjust it real quick, adjusting the colors, things like that, and you add the body, add the gills, just the face. Change the face with the eyes and stuff. Add the hair. And then, yeah, more hair and stuff in the back. Sign it and we're done. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. I'll be back in a little bit to do a little more. I'm just gonna take a break, have a snack, do all that, and yeah, man. I hate talking negatively about animation because I'm such a big animation guy. But yeah, I just wish more of it was Mo Better instead of, Mo Lesser. But who knows who that falls upon. You know what I mean? Whether it's the showrunners or just the quality of the industry. But it is what it is. I'm G Mr. Drew. It's at G Mr. Drew on all social media. You can follow, like, and subscribe. Any and all support is appreciated. gmrdrew.art, my website. Link is in the bio. You can check me out there and everything that I've done, you know, all that stuff. I'm also on Patreon and Fiverr if you're interested in getting any character commissions or portraits or anything like that done, whether you want me to illustrate it, you want it traditional, digital, or if you want me to photo bash something together to create a character for you or anything like that, like, you know, or to take an existing character that you want to see in a certain way, photo bash, kind of like Boss Logic style type stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, uh, that's what I'm here for. That's what we could do. So you just let me know. Hit me up. Either way, I want to thank you. You've been watching the Andrew Glowczewski Experience, episode 171, where we've been doing some photo bashing. And yeah, man, this one turned out great. I like it. It looks very familiar to another one that I did recently. And that's just, you know, maybe the only difference is like a smile and not a smile. So either way, hopefully these all don't look the same at the end of the day, but they probably will. Again, this character can probably be more appreciated from a distance, where there's more body to him and everything. Anyways, I'll be back. Love y'all. Peace.